Hi, my name is Tim Schmoyer. I'm a senior pastor at Whitehall Bible Fellowship Church, and I'm also on the board at the FaithVest Fund. I want to share with you today why this is such an important ministry for churches. As you partner with the FaithVest Fund, we together help God's church be stronger, healthier, things move smoother, and churches can focus on gospel expansion in their own community rather than worrying about all of the hassle of working with conventional banks. I want to do that by telling you my story. In 2010, my church and I decided to build a new worship center connected to our existing building. And so we set out to do that by exploring what mortgage offers conventional banks could bring to us. We worked with maybe 6 or 8 different banks, and ultimately one after the other fell off because they just did not want to work with churches. And so a lot of churches do struggle finding mortgages with a conventional lender. The reason is that banks think that churches are businesses. And when they discover that we aren't and that we measure our success in different ways, they're not confident to move ahead with a nonprofit organization. Because banks are very used to making loans to regular businesses. And so when we measure success in a different way than a regular business, we aren't focused on profit and just running by the profit and loss, running a tight ship. Churches are very interested not in money, but in people. It certainly, admittedly, takes money to reach people, and we're not ignoring that. But churches measure their success by the people that they serve, the growth in those people's lives, the public witness that those people that the church is discipling are able to offer to their community. And so in 2010, we began to whittle off one after the other of these different banks. Ultimately, 2 or 3 were very interested, and so we began to provide the documents that they requested. They asked us for obvious documents like articles of incorporation and bylaws, which we readily provided. They asked for profit and loss statements and balance reports. Obviously, we have those on file and quickly submitted those to the bank. I got a call one day from one of our bankers, and they said, "We'd like to see your tax return for the last 3 years." And I sort of chuckled to myself, and I began to explain to the banker, we are a nonprofit and we do not file taxes annually. And so we simply just had to explain to them, we aren't a traditional for-profit business. I shrugged that off and they seemed to accept that. But then once the offer was made of the terms of the mortgage, you could quickly see through the different items in the offer that they were treating us like a regular business. They offered us a 5-year ARM where the interest rate would adjust after 5 years. And ultimately, 3 or 4 different banks offered us a 5-year ARM. So we settled with that and thought, well, maybe we'll pay it off in 5 years by God's grace and the people's generosity, or maybe we'll have to go and seek a refinance after those 5 years. Those 5 years came and went. We were prepaying our mortgage payment, and yet, the principal was still there. But the mortgage adjusted automatically to the new rates at that time. They weren't out of control, but it was just a little frustrating. Our mortgage payment went up for really no good reason. Fast forward to 2018, and we decided, well, maybe it is time that we refinance. And so we did that again, walked through all of those hurdles all over again, had to explain all over again why we don't file taxes, why we don't have certain financial documents that traditional businesses have. But ultimately, we signed another refinance for a 5-year term. When those 5 years were up, our interest rate immediately shot up. to the national average at the time, which was 9.5%. So we went from paying 5.25% in 2010 to 9.5%. It's very aggravating for churches who are trying to reach people, trying to grow the operation and trying to expand the facility, to work with conventional banks. We don't measure success in the tight windows that a regular business does. And so FaithVest Fund is this new ministry where we are trying to work with churches to fix their interest rate at a low interest rate, and for the reason that they can spend what they would have spent at a conventional bank. They can spend the difference on reaching out to their community, sharing the gospel with young people, with adults in unconventional ways. Why? Because they have freed up funds that they're not paying to a bank, and they can use that for outreach. So your gift to the FaithVest Fund helps churches to expand, and at the same time, they can use their reduced payments, they can use the excess to reach out to their community in targeted ways. Would you consider making a gift to the FaithVest Fund? Thank you so much for your time.